Hey folks, it's Alan here this week introducing another episode of Studio 60 on the SunsetChatz. A reminder that if you like what you hear today, please consider checking out our exciting backlog of podcast episodes, covering exciting television shows like The Last Airbender, Farscape, Babylon 5, and Aaron Sorkin's most recent television crime, The Newsroom. Who knows, you might just discover your next favorite show. As we've mentioned before, these episodes were originally recorded in early 2020, specifically late March as of this episode, so we may occasionally reference some things, some news items, some topics that are no longer really topical. But regardless, they are as evergreen as we could make them at the time. And without further ado, live from Studio 60 on the SunsetChatz, it's Sunday morning in quarantine. Hello and welcome to Chats, the Television Podcast, Season 10, Studio 60 on the SunsetChatz. My name is Alan, and I'm joined by the man who is not plagued by timing problems. It's Magellan.
Hey, what's up?
Hi! Hello, good evening.
You gave me a lot of time to think about whether I was going to do the too fast to respond joke.
Yeah.
Or the too slow or the just right.
Yep.
I went for the just right.
I love it. I think you did great.
Thank you.
How are you, my friend?
I'm good. I got some pistachios in my mouth. I'm so sorry about it.
I had an argument with somebody recently about whether or not mortadella is designed to be with pistachios or with fudge. What's the other thing you can put in mortadella?
Is it fudge?
No, not fudge.
Mortadella? What is mortadella?
Olives. Mortadella is like a deli meat.
It's supposed to be with olives. Are you crazy? What?
No, it's with pistachios.
People put pistachios in mortadella?
Yes, that's the way it's supposed to be. I'm also joined if you can't tell by this person. Wow, my intro is written all grammatically wrong. I'm just gonna say it, and we're gonna assume it was perfect.
Uh-huh.
Thieves get rich, saints get shot, 6 don't answer prayers a lot.
Pow. Bang, 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 bang.
Oh, my devil trigger.
I actually do all of those things.
Get rich, get shot, and don't answer prayers. Eat hot chip and lie.
It's me, Margaret.
You know, the other day, I was eating hot chip and lying at the same time.
Whoa.
And here's the thing. Hot chips, they're really hot.
They're really good.
Do they help you lie?
They actually made it kind of hard because it was hard for me to focus because I was like, God, my mouth hurts. And it made my lie worse.
Yeah.
That's really something, huh?
So it's like an exercise.
To lie without focus.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You have to be fully focused to lie, which is why I never lie, because I don't know how to focus. But I do know how to talk about the focus group, which is the first.
Ooh, nicely done.
Really?
Yeah, that's good.
Oh, thanks. If people don't know, first of all, what are you doing listening to this? Second of all, this is a podcast where me and my friends, Magellan and Six, talk about Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip, the Aaron Sorkin, canceled before it was due, classic television show that we watched. And we watched 2 episodes this week. Episode 3, The Focus Group, and Episode 4, The West Coast Delay. First up is The Focus Group, which was written by Aaron Sorkin. It was directed by Christopher Misiano. It originally aired October 2nd, 2006. And Magellan, what happened in The Focus Group?
In this episode, a network focus group sends a scare through the company that the rating success of Matt and Danny's first show might have been a one-time thing. Harriet expresses her jealousy at Matt, having spent the night with Jeannie so shortly after breaking up, accusing him of rubbing it in her face. The team is pleased to have had a high rating for their opening week with Matt and Danny's return, but fear they won't retain momentum in their ratings in the follow-up show. Jeannie is disappointed by the focus group's score of her sketch Commedia dell'arte. Matt makes a deal with Jeannie regarding the success of the sketch on the live broadcast. That's probably the dumbest plot of the episode, right?
It's a competition, though, is the thing.
It is a competition. I guess dumbest in the sense of being like the least useful, right?
Sure. What if I started every statement like I was a cast member doing an interview about an Aaron Sorkin show, being like, the thing that makes Aaron so smart is I really hated the opening of this episode so much.
And then I'm the editor who comes in.
So elitist. God, it's so... Sorry, go ahead, Alan.
Yeah, no, I'm the editor who comes in and just and is like, the thing that I hated this episode so much. I just cut your sentence right down. But yeah, the beginning is deeply elitist. Yeah, so let's get into that. Jordan doesn't know how people work. She doesn't know how people or unemployment works, also. Talking about the focus group. Is that the scene that y'all are you referring to?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I am, but also the scene after it is also really bad. The first 10 minutes of this episode are some of the worst this show has had.
Whenever the show shows the comedy, it's like a fucking trash fire.
Yeah.
Because you have... So, oh my God. Okay. All right. So
dig into it, my friend. Dig.
Because you got this whole thing where it's like, oh, people don't get it. Like Commedia dell'arte. Yeah, it's French shit. No, it's Italian. Oh, the wrong century. Like all these snappy jokes about like, you don't understand, you network schlob about what Commedia dell'arte is. And all that's happening, and you literally see the sketch later, is Jeannie's wearing like a Renaissance little costume in a coffee shop and is like, forsooth, I want a Java. And the dude's like, what? It's fucking dumb. That is not like genius comedy. That is the most rote thing in the world. And it... I'm sorry. Holy crap.
Honestly, this TV show will often... Like, this program often feels like parody when it shows the actual, like, sketches. It's just like... Because the outside stuff takes itself so seriously. And then we get these sketches, and they just feel like... Honestly, some of these would be bad on modern SNL. You would just be like, "Oh, oof, that's a useless sketch. Toss that one out."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the best.
Yeah, go ahead.
Basically, the best any of their sketches come is being the one like sketch you wish you could forget from the latest SNL. So
right, where you're just like, that was whatever. That sketch was useless. And it's weird because I thought this first episode was much worse than the second one, actually. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of just Jordan McDear stressing out because the other thing that's going on is there's a report on TV about her she was arrested for a DUI like 8 years ago. And they're making a big deal out of like, oh, the MBS person has a DUI. She was a drunk woman at one point, and they're getting the facts wrong. And she's like, oh no, my career. And Rudolph just keeps being like, I don't hate you, but also like, you're not going to be able to escape this, even though they're lying about a lot of stuff and they're misinterpreting facts. I just don't like any of that. I'm tired of all of Sorkin's women worrying about what people think about them also.
Well, and I'm tired of Sorkin as portraying like various scandals in the way that the consequences is in worrying about what the consequences will be, not about the consequences.
That's a good point.
Not about the thing that happened, you mean?
Right, like it's not about the thing that happened or about the thing that will happen based on people finding out. It's about you realizing people will find out. That's the real stress point for any Sorkin show. It's like, oh God, people know this is so terrible for me. An episode later, it doesn't matter.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Well, and it's like, we're also treating Jordan McDear's character, she's like a TV executive. When was the last time you saw like a TV executive in the news? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like those people are not characters in news stories in the way that we're worrying about right now. Maybe for like an afternoon, people would be like, oh my God, Jordan McDear, she got a DUI. But then the guy who's talking to her at the end of the episode, who's like, hey, why don't you just like say what's true and what's false? She's like, because then he'll sell more books. Okay. But then it's done. Then nobody's talking about it anymore.
Well, people have already forgotten about Elizabeth, who's the blood lady?
Oh, the Theranos lady?
Yeah, who's the Theranos?
Yeah, I don't remember her name.
Case in point. Yeah, case in point.
But yeah, exactly. I listened to a podcast and I know that was like a huge deal and it still is a huge deal, but I'm just like, oh, Elizabeth Holmes, whatever.
Well, and that's more egregious because that's like literally, criminal freaking fooling people. What do you call that? Fraud. This is obviously a bad thing, and I'm conflicted about the moment where Danny is like, hey, by the way, this is where I, the drug addict, tell you about why drunk driving is bad. I think I liked that, but I don't think I liked it. But, you know, besides that piece of it, that like morally driving drunk is a bad thing to do and it endangers people, it's not, it's not that fundamental of a realization about Jordan's character. I think that's an issue that I had with it. Mm-hmm. And it's not something that would stick in the news and like follow her.
And also just the scenario that's laid up to try and make her look good, where it's like, oh no, she was lost and pulled over to ask a cop for directions. Like, what? What?
First of all, why are you talking to a cop? You already goofed up.
I guess she is rich. My, like, as a poor person who basically follows the law, you still would basically have to put a gun to my head to make me willingly approach a cop.
And well, there were a couple moments in both of these episodes where I was like, oh my gosh, it's 2006. Like, why do you not have a smartphone? Like, why do you not have the ability to just like look up where you are, that you have to ask a police officer for directions? Mm-hmm. There was that, and then there was a part later where someone was like, I'm surfing the web and looking up what people are saying about you. And it's like, I really wonder what, and the newsroom does get into this a little bit, but it's mostly people sitting in front of monitors. Like, what happens once Twitter gets involved? In like the modern controversies, because the discourse cycle is so fast these days that, like you said, Jordan's like whole thing would be done and talked about, meme to death in like 2 days max. Mm-hmm. It would not ruin her career in the slightest. And maybe that's just how the sort of window has shifted since the time of this show. But yeah, it is really dumb and just gives her the entire episode to like stress and get yelled at by Mr. Rudolph. Which I don't find that particularly interesting.
And it's also different from, like, I think Danny's being a drug addict and the insurance thing sort of sticking him in this job is something that moves the plot and that also tells us things about Danny that he's like, because we see him be this like over the top control freak in every single interaction that he has.
Yeah.
But then there's this part of him where he can't control or has lost control, which kind of helps you to understand his director-producer personality. But with Jordan, it's like, what do I learn about Jordan because of this? I learned that she was married for 9 months when she was younger and that she had a DUI. So I guess I learned that she's like reckless or something.
I think,
but it's
and we also get like
clear.
We also get like the 10th underline under the phrase "she's quirky."
Yeah, and under like, and she's had sex too.
What?
It's like, come on.
You mean executive and do the sex? Hold on, sign me up.
Like the whole thing about like, yeah, he would take me to parties and watch people have sex. It's like, what is all of this?
Especially because characters like Matt and Danny don't get this like, oh, I made a critical error. It's like they bounce back from stuff like that. That's the whole like setup of the show, is that they got caught. One of them got caught doing cocaine, and it's like, well, that's gonna haunt you, but like, well, you're still a millionaire. You're still a very successful writer. And she keeps her career through this.
As punishment, you will now direct this like very popular television show.
Totally, they fail upwards, as so many men do in Hollywood and the world. And the other focus of this episode is the focus group results that come out after the beginning of the episode. We see that focus group, and it turns out that somebody either in the focus group, a contracting company, or from the writing team or whatever the production, made them ask the audience a question of, do you think that this show is patriotic or unpatriotic? And they have percentage results that say that it was pretty much right down the line, 50-50. And they don't want everyone to know about that because it's going to make them really angry and start thinking about it. They do talk about the idea of focus groups a lot in this, and like, what is the purpose of them? What's the benefit of them? I find it really fascinating, but also frustrating, because I don't know who says it exactly, if it's Jordan or someone, but they're like, yeah, they're dumb. And they're not exactly accurate to how people are watching our show, but advertisers use them and advertisers pay for our show, so we can't ignore them. It's a valuable metric.
And also, I mean, I don't know, the way I don't know. Maybe this is me. Maybe this is my divide. But I feel like Sorkin is projecting his personal position on this to sort of the whole show, whereas I think there would be people involved in the making of this show that would say, I mean, yeah, I want feedback.
Yeah, I want to know how I'm doing before the episode goes out so I don't do
Yeah,
bad.
right. People are not... That's really the thing. Sorkin just doesn't understand what, comedians want. Comedians want to be popular and they want to make people laugh.
Right.
And it's just mind-boggling that Matt exists as a character who's hell-bent on being the most hilarious, but he's not hell-bent on being hilarious. He's like, I have a genius vision that cannot be compromised. And the dude's fucking genius vision is okay, you got a Renaissance lady asking for coffee, and then we're going to get a rabbi, a Muslim guy, and a college Bible student walk into a game show. And it's this is your thing. This is your biting genius social commentary. This is absurd. Yeah. And so I lost my point because the show fries my brain.
I mean, it's just the case where every comedian I've known or heard bios about, they're people pleasers.
Yeah.
That's
right.
what makes you a comedian is you want to make other people laugh. And the idea that Matt is this character who's I don't care if these people didn't think it was funny. It's funny.
They're not smart enough.
I'm not prescribing to what makes people laugh. I'm prescribing to this divine scale of what is funny that is only visible to people who can see beyond your puny mortal realm. It's my dude, you are fake. You don't exist.
Yeah. Comedy is comedians are formulaic. The whole every person who's gone through UCB for improv training or whatever has learned okay, here's how you hit the thing. And here are the structures that you can use. And it's all just plug and play. And I love comedy. And I think there are ways that you can do those formulas that are transcendent and cool. But fundamentally, someone who is a comedian, is they're about collaborating with people. Maybe they don't do it particularly well, but that is a part of it. And they're about yeah, okay, we got to do a sketch this week. Let's spitball, let's brainstorm, let's figure it out, guys. I got nothing. What do you got? A game show, freaking thing. Yeah. So the attitude, I don't know, the whole focus group thing, it just feels strange, and it's also weird to me that there are a couple things that are just weird. The first is this focus on, is the show patriotic or not? Mm-hmm. And that being the kind of the reason that Sorkin wanted to do a show about a sketch comedy show, it feels is because he wants to make this commentary about, he's trying to make punch in both directions a little bit by punching at conservative moral policing, and also punch at wokeness, but wokeness didn't really exist yet to the same extent.
The idea of political correctness definitely did.
Right.
Right.
And so he's got this, there's this sketch that's just off the chain discriminatory. It's wild, the whole game show thing. Mm-hmm. And then the whole, is this show patriotic or not, flashes Matt back to oh man, remember a few years ago when I defended Bill Maher and people threw me under the bus? I couldn't write a parody of Studio 60 better than that plot point, that Matt Albee's worried about being too political because a couple years ago he went to bat for Bill Maher for making fun of 9/11 or something.
Yeah. It's shifting in her seat. I can hear it.
There's so many, we even skipped past, maybe we'll double back. We're sort of getting all over the place. But sure. Immediately after we have this focus group scene, we shift to sort of oh, we're backstage and the whatever the the two writers that suck. I forget their names.
I wrote them as the shitty writers in my notes over and over. Ricky and Ron.
Ricky and Ron, yes. Ricky and Ron are trying to bring the data to Matt and Danny. And they stop by and they're like, oh, hey, congratulations on making, host of the news. Really big responsibility to put on a black person. I don't know if you can handle it. And it's like, what the fuck, y'all?
Yeah, that was a lot.
It's just this whole episode is bizarrely racist. And
it lacks so much self-awareness in that respect. It's baffling. The instant that, what was it, Rob Reiner? Is he the guest?
It definitely looked like him. I think I would assume that. I think
it was. The second that he starts doing his he's the Jewish guy voice.
The rabbi, yeah.
Rabbi voice. And everybody looks at each other like, yeah, this is funny. That was where I was like, okay, I'm out.
Well, and
they drank the
also,
Kool-Aid.
I'm done.
They have their little stands and it's like, oh, Bible study student, Jew, which is and then the other one is Taliban member. And you're like, what? Hang on.
Yeah. And also, we've only got one person of color on the cast.
And he has to play.
So we're gonna have the black guy do a shitty Middle Eastern accent or something. Mm-hmm. It's all so.
I don't know what you're talking about. As a Middle Eastern person, I can say that accent was perfect.
Yeah, is that good?
Yeah, so it's exactly it's just like Pa. Just reminds me of home.
And then Matt Albie's fucking sticking point is when they read the name of the university for the Bible student. He's like, okay. He's like, yeah, wait. I don't know if it's Jesus College or Jesus Bible College. I got to make sure everything in this sketch has to be exactly right. It's like,
I can't afford to offend the white people. Anyone else? Listen, here's the bus, get under it. But
these other disgusting caricatures are totally fine. But, oh, man, I can't add the word Bible into the name of a school that doesn't have the word Bible in it.
We literally did Crazy Christians last week. I can't do another bad. I can't. He says that. He's like, I can't make another mistake. Or I can't, do a bad because we already took a risk. So I think, actually, regarding that sketch, all the sketch stuff, I try to watch it with the eye of, okay, they're making this whole point about Studio 60 needs to be a show that's making a point and making people think, but it's also funny. It's none of those things. But the TV show Studio 60, not the show within the show, but the TV show that we are watching, kind of does have points and an ethos. It's not a good one. It's mostly that people are offended too easily, and we have to bend over backwards to work with shitty people to make people happy. But there's a part where Matt's angry. And he's talking about
boy, that narrows it down.
Yeah, that one scene in the whole thing where Matt Albie's really grumpy, and he's talking about you guys have to stop pissing off Republicans, and he's like, oh, I'd love to take a shot at the Democrats if one of them would say or do anything, and it's like, yo, you're right, Matt Albie, but you need to say give me one more sentence on that, just roll with that a little more, bud. Make a sketch about that. He has ideas. He's so close to just be... I know he won't, because he's just basically a centrist, like Sorkin is. He's writing himself.
Yeah, I mean,
and this is also the scene where, 5 seconds later, as my brain is still processing that line, someone just calls him... They're like... or I think it's Danny who calls him a pussy boy.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like, are you a girl pussy or a boy pussy? You're a pussy boy.
Oh, no. And it's not played as, these guys suck that much. It's more just it's annoying. It's a dumb thing to say. It's childish.
These guys being dudes. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think
Jordan later is also whoa, wait, yes. You're a pussy boy? What? That's funny.
They really say it like everyone in the show knows it's a thing people say.
Oh, my gosh.
Which scares me. Speaking of, by the way, women being disappointed in their own stuff. Janie's mad that her sketch didn't do well in the focus group, and she spends the entire episode being like, "No, it was good. No, guys, I flatlined. No, you're not listening. I flatlined." She says flatline 15 times in this episode.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's really frustrating because it's just the show being like, "Do you know what this means? It means that nobody voted for anything on her thing. They thought it was very boring." And they have this whole bit about how the lights go out. Sorkin really likes making the lights go out on sets. And thinking that somehow charges everybody into being more emotional and honest with each other. He does that there's an episode of The Newsroom that does this as well, called Blackout. And in that one, the solution I just remembered is they do the news outside.
What if you could do the news outside?
Or they try to, and they like literally are wheeling the camera outside, and then they're like, "Oh wait, the lights are back." They do it twice in this episode where they're like, "Harriet, you're so religious. You're always talking about God and how he does his holy retribution. The lights went out. I guess God is real." And it's just this like dumb, like imitation of miracles that doesn't amount to anything, and the show doesn't address. It's just like, oh, they timed it in a funny way that makes people in the episode go like, "Wait, that's so crazy that happened."
Yeah.
Worthless. Truly worthless.
The Commedia dell'arte thing is another example of like, if the show got a focus group where nobody liked the sketch, and nobody laughed at the dress rehearsal, that shit would be cut.
Why did you keep the sketch?
It's out of here. Sorry, Jeannie.
No, it's brilliant, dude. You don't understand. Commedia dell'arte is one of the best jokes.
Yeah.
Whatever. And I think I forget which sketch this or that Harriet's referring to here, but she has a whole speech about how punching down is terrible. Oh no, because it's the one like there's like the writer's room making a bunch of jokes and being like, "What if we use this news story?" I think one of them is literally holding a newspaper, which is bananas. But they're digging through the news and they find a story about a small town in like the Midwest that had to change which play they were doing because it was anti-Christianity. They were doing the Crusade, I believe, and they switched it to Midsummer's Night's Dream. Crucible. And she's like, "Oh, you can't make fun of them because there's only like 400 of them, and none of them make a lot of money. Don't make fun of poor people." Which, like, good. And then she's like, "Instead, you should do my bear joke, where like, what do we turn to the bear? And what did he say? Roar!" And it instantly undercuts her making a legitimately good point to be like, "Yeah, but she doesn't have good ideas. She wants to do the bear joke, you guys."
I don't know. I thought that was charming. I liked it,
but it doesn't. I just think I wish that Harriet's like good ideas weren't so often coupled with like jokes like that.
To be honest, that was the most they've sounded like SNL to me.
The bear joke?
Yeah, that's extremely an SNL news desk joke.
And she's right, because they're like, "That's not funny when you read it." And she's like, "I would perform it well." Like, yo, you could totally perform that and make me laugh. Like that can work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it just feels like the show has this lens on her of like, she doesn't actually know. Like, she's just being annoying. Like Harriet always is.
I don't know. I think the show is positioning Harriet as like a wise character
who's just ignored by people.
Who's ignored by people, and also she's sort of manufactured to be the like counter to Matt, so that Sorkin can be like, "But look, this character doesn't hate Middle America, so my show is all balanced and good.
Hands clean, no issues." And then there are issues because we get to the sketches from this episode, and there are moments, and I talked about this in the newsroom stuff, but like when Sorkin does the behind the scenes of like a workplace environment, sometimes it seems appealing, right? Because I'm like, oh, maybe I could like be the intern who collects small stories for the news network, and maybe one of my things makes it to air, or maybe I could be the writer on this SNL thing, and like I could eventually get a sketch that people talk about and try to run with. But I don't want any part of these sketches that we see a bunch of small bits of, because they're all really bad.
This montage especially was when I was like, this is a parody, like you were saying, of a sketch comedy show.
Right. It's not trying to be a sketch comedy show. It's trying to like make fun of them.
Yeah. But everybody's looking at the TV like, oh, yes, the Nicolas Cage show.
Well, you didn't like the Nicolas Cage show? That impression was pretty good.
His Ben Stiller was pretty good.
I did like the part where they were like, "Do your best Ben Stiller," doing Tom Cruise. I thought that was cute.
Yeah.
But also it's 2006, so like we're still doing Tom Cruise lightning on Oprah's couch memes at this point, I think.
Which are funnier than this entire show.
Oh yeah, for sure. But yeah, lots of back padding, and then the show goes fully self-indulgent, and we get like 15 minutes. Honestly, it went for so damn long, the rap party scene. Because it's like every single person needs to have an important wrap up and like a realization and like a coming to God moment all at once. Because Jordan is awaiting the results of the focus group, standing by a fax machine because 2006. Matt finds out that Danny is the one who wrote the patriotic question and like chases him down on the beach and punches him, and then realizes that they're in public and they are semi-celebrities.
Wait, I missed that plot point. I think I was because I was cooking while I watched this. Why did Danny do that?
To rile him up so that he would get more political.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of fun.
Sure.
It was okay.
I do understand his motivation of like, if I scare you, it's going to work. But also don't give it to the employees then, because you like, not the employees, the performers, because then it messes up the entire
Well, he didn't
show.
intend to.
True, that wasn't his intent.
These things get out.
So he punches Danny on the water, and then they're like, oh God, we're being seen. We're in public. And everyone forgives each other. And then you get this really corny scene where Jordan's like, is my job gone? Did we go under 90%? Rudolph's like, a little bit above that. Actually, you went 109%.
Good job. Your comedy
kiddo.
was funny.
You're not fired this time. I seriously, like, the whole time I'm thinking about, like, oh man, I would love to work on a show like this. The idea of going to a rap party like this every Saturday, or in this case, every Friday, sounds really exhausting.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it super does.
They gotta, like, make this whole show and, like, stress over it and panic about it. They get 90 minutes to watch it. And then it's like, all right, now to put your monkey suit on and like drink with executives and here we go again. Like, what a life to live.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like if you work on a show like that, you're basically living at that show constantly.
Right. Which they talk about in the second episode when one of the actors is like, my girlfriend left me because she sucks. And he's like, she left you because you don't know how to stop working. Which, Aaron Sorkin, talk to yourself. Talk to yourself once, dude. Just have a conversation. And then what's his face? The two guys. I'm never going to remember the two comedians' names. Or the writers, I mean. Ricky and Ron. Just the least memorable names of all time.
Intentionally so, I think.
Yes. They're supposed to feel like background characters, but the way that they keep getting drudged up is kind of fun. And like brought into the A-plot. Danny dances with Harriet, which is actually really cute. Matt's like, oh man, I'm Aaron Sorkin, so I'm just going to kind of wistfully smile at all of my friends being successful. And then he just like walks off and he signs some autographs and then he goes home. Yay. I just thought this scene was really, really long. And they had the gall to use some this is our licensed music moment of the episode. They used Will You Still Love Me Tomorrow, which is a really good show to use for the night of a sketch comedy show.
Not a bad pick.
No, it's just an on the nose pick slightly. It's just like, yeah.
I mean, if you want something to be not on the nose, may I recommend another show,
another TV show, exactly, or another writer, yeah. And I thought this part was really long and annoying, and I feel like I got barely anything out of this episode.
I still think it's really weird that Saturday Night Live exists in this universe.
They said Saturday Night Live did a bit about us. I'm like, what are you saying?
Yeah, they said that. They also were like, when Danny was like, oh, your only Bush sketch is going on like 10-1 or whatever. That's where you dump stuff. And Matt's like, you know what else started at 12:50? Wayne's World. Stupid. No, there's no Wayne's World in this world.
This is Wayne's World.
Yeah, it shouldn't work like that.
Party on, Matt Albee. Blah, blah.
Party on, Danny.
Party on, Matt. Do y'all have any stray notes about the focus group?
It's mostly just me being angry. It's not worth it.
Yeah. Like Rudolph makes a comment about 9/11 at one point where he's like, because Jordan asks him like, why do we care about like the Democrats and like not being political in one direction or another, and he's like, yeah, well, we started caring after the Taliban pushed through a plane into the building. Like he like intimately describes what happened on 9/11, and I hate the way TV characters talk about 9/11 sometimes, because they obviously never say it. They never like just say 9/11, and I'm sure they would now. But because this is like close enough to the event, everyone's always has to be like, that event that we all know about with the planes and the explosions and the people dying. I'm like, do I? It's fascinating to me though, to be like, people just didn't want to talk about it or didn't want to drop the name, I guess. I don't know. And I think that's pretty much what I have. And then, that thieves get rich, saints get shot, God don't answer prayers a lot. I had to watch that back like 3 times because it's very snappy in the Sorkin way, but no one talks like that. It's just written dialogue. And then finally, Harriet doing a Holly Hunter impression is very funny and charming. She does one during one of the sketches, and then she's like, "Man, what if I had to keep doing this?" And he's like,
"Yeah, that was pretty good."
Yeah, he's like, "No, I'll fall in love with you again." Anyways, I'm Batman. Oh my God, Matt Albee as Batman would be perfect. Billionaire, a TV writer by day.
Listen, we just wrote a better sketch than anyone that they've got. Exactly,
I nailed it. Let's take a brief break, and we'll be back to discuss the West Coast delay.
Welcome back to Studio 60 on the Sunset Chats. The second episode we watched this week was episode 4, The West Coast Delay. It was written by Mark Goffman and Aaron Sorkin, directed by Timothy Busfield. It originally aired October 9th, 2006. Alan, what happened in the West Coast?
Wait for it.
Delay.
Thank you.
Delay.
In this episode, Jordan is approached by Vanity Fair columnist Martha Odell, guest star Christine Lottie, requesting access to Studio 60 to write a long lead story about the rebirth of the show. Harriet offers Matt a baseball bat that she was given by a Major League Baseball player, unaware that the pitcher had written his phone number on it. When it's discovered that the show has inadvertently plagiarized another comedian's material during a sketch, the team scrambles to break into the taped West Coast feed to correct their error. Six, what did you think of this episode?
I think I'm going to argue with y'all a lot.
Yay, fighting.
I think there was a lot of meat.
There you go, motherfucker. Fuck. Sorry, cockroaches creep me the fuck out, because last year there was a night where I woke up with one on my face, and then I killed it, and then I went back to sleep, and I woke up again, and there was another one on my face. And so now I live in fear of that happening again.
Understandable. It was just, there was some good comedic timing.
Sorry.
That was like on the level of Nick with the drink. Being like, oh, God.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of content here. There's a lot to talk about with this episode. And I think less of it is like, I spent most of episode 3 just being like, please stop talking. God, I hate this. Please stop talking. And episode 4, a lot of this I didn't like, but I was at least engaged by.
Mm-hmm. No, it was definitely engaging is the best I can ask for out of Studio 60, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly, one of the other things though is I wish that if they're gonna do like a journalist comes on the show, the set to interview and like study everybody. A lot of shows do this. Aaron Sorkin does this a lot on his shows. Make them the center. Use them as the viewer surrogate, and you have yourself a very cool formula. Instead, we get like this scene at the beginning, or early in the episode, of Jordan being like, Martha, the only way any of these nasty men are going to listen to you is if you unbutton your shirt. And then she's like, wow, that's such a good idea, other normal woman with a normal brain like me.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go in and do that. And then Danny's like, I'm not 15. I'm not appealing. Like, boobs don't do that to me. Which is then just looped right back around because Matt's like, whoa, boobs? Whoa. This show's a cartoon.
Yeah. Yeah, it's silly. I don't know. I'm not here to fight with you, Six. I also didn't mind this episode. I think it addresses a plot that actually feels like it should be addressed in this show. Like the idea of accidentally stealing a joke feels like a plot that you could do on a show about people making a comedy show, and it's not overblown, the seriousness that they're giving it, you know?
Instead, it goes around back into farce, though.
Yeah, I think
in a way that I think is good. Like, I think the show I think the show should have things that they take seriously that then end up like, oh, well, that was wacky. And it's better than them being like, look, this is so important. And look, we did it. We got the ratings. We did the right sketch. And everything's good now.
My God.
I don't think they took it seriously enough.
Okay.
Oh. Okay.
That's why I think we're going to argue, is because on two major issues of this, on the whole baseball bat thing and on the plagiarism thing, I think we're going to come at this from different angles.
Okay. Where do you want to start?
Okay, so if you are trying to make up with your ex, don't give them a gift that your new boyfriend gave you. Even if you don't know it has the phone number written on it, still don't do that.
So dumb. So dumb.
Foolish. I've never done anything like that.
You haven't done anything.
You're
like
right.
that.
I'm doing bits.
It's so stupid to do.
At first, it feels like you see where Harriet's coming from, because at first it's framed like, oh, she went to a baseball game and the pitcher was like, hey, good work. Here's a bat. But it's like, oh wait, no, and you've been dating him. Like, come on, that is obviously shitty.
And also, like, of course that's his phone number. There's no other number that it could be. So I would also get it if she was like, I got this bat. I know you like baseball bats. And then it's like, oh, God, I didn't turn it around. That's better than, I thought that was his uniform number.
Well, no, women, they just don't know things.
They don't know sports.
You thought his uniform number was 3,600,000. Shut up.
Stupid.
Yeah, that part's bad. That part's useless and bad. I wish any of the Harriet and Matt stuff worked out in an interesting and fun way.
It's so bad.
She comes to him trying to be the adult here, and she's like, I want you to just say that we're not together so that there's no more sexual tension for the rest of the series. And he's like, no, I don't want to say that because I'm your boss. And the show needs to have weird sexual tension forever.
Yeah, the scene takes such a bizarre turn there, where he's like, no, it wouldn't be professional for me to say I don't want to have sex with you. It's like, wait, excuse me?
No, I think he was trying to imply, like, of course it's over because I'm your boss.
Right.
Sure, but it comes across very messy, I think.
Well, because he actually very much would like to have sex with her.
Yeah.
Sure.
Because
So
then, like, every scene that she's doing a bit, he's like, but the way she does that Juliette Lewis impression, it really gets me going.
Yeah. Oh, man. I love when she thinks that her cat is in the other room. That's
amazing.
So funny.
Was Juliette Lewis that much of a, like, pop culture figure?
I don't know.
I've never known her to, like, be that big of a deal. I don't know. Or not like that, like, huge. But I mean, Natural Born Killers was a big movie. That's the main thing I remember.
Here's a question.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, this whole bat thing happens, which leads Matt through some bad advice from Tom to go try and get a signed boot for the whole thing.
Uh-huh.
You're wondering if maybe Tom shouldn't exist? I agree. 100%.
Oh, no, that's pretty straightforward. I was wondering, since Matt is based on Aaron Sorkin and Harriet is based on his ex-wife, is this a real story?
Like how specific this is. Like, remember the teddy bear in Babylon 5?
Yeah.
Where he's like, oh, the guy gave me a cute bear, so I decided to make my main character, like, shoot it out of the airlock because I hate cute things. Instead, Aaron's like, my ex-girlfriend or whatever didn't want to be, or tried to be professional, and I still had a big crush on her, find her good impressions.
Mm-hmm.
The best thing about the burlesque, I'm going to move right along. The best thing about the burlesque dance club scene, by the way, is not that it's like a weird dance. So is it just dancers at a club?
I guess.
Okay. All right.
Magellan, you're the adult here. You're the one who knows sex. Help us out.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
So there's just a lot in this plot that's like really, really stupid and bad. And we've already said parts of it. Here's the logic. Here's the cold hard events that are happening, okay?
Okay.
I'm going to just name the characters. I'm going to name the characters person A and person B, okay?
Oh, okay.
And you tell me who the shithead is.
Okay.
Person A and person B are in a relationship, okay?
Got it. They're both shitheads.
Okay,
took my line.
It's a good place to start.
Okay.
Person A gets really upset that person B is really Christian and goes on a radio show for a bigot. Okay? And then it's like, I'm out of here. I'm done. So that's how that is.
Okay.
Then person A has sex with someone who works with person B. Also, he's person B's boss.
Perfect. Okay.
Person
A seems pretty shitty.
Person A doesn't really apologize for the fact that he did that. Okay. Person B has to go and make amends with this woman who she works with and continue to work with her. And presumably person A continues to have sex with her.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Person B goes on a date.
I see where this is. I can smell it. Go ahead.
Person A finds out about the date.
Yep.
Person B did not mean for him to find out in the way that he did.
Okay.
It was a whole situation. Person A is pissed off.
Okay.
How dare she go on a date?
With someone else when we're not together anymore? Unacceptable.
Right. Person A goes to what can only be described as a world-renowned traveling strip carnival.
That's kind of right.
I can only assume that's what's going on to get a revenge boot that says "Call me, baby" on the inside of it.
Don't forget the comma.
Call me, comma, baby on the inside.
Yeah.
That's
from somebody who he's known before, like an ex or something?
Ah, yes. Thank you. Right. So he goes to the traveling burlesque strip show circus carnival thing.
Oh, are we allowed to object? Because you did skip the whole baseball bat sequence.
I'm leaving the bat out because it's a stupidly written thing that I'm sure Aaron Sorkin is twisting from the real events. I think that Aaron Sorkin really went to this burlesque show thing. I think that the bat thing he's making up because he had nothing. He had no leg to stand on whatsoever. And he needed to construct that.
The best thing about that burlesque place is that he's going at Thursday at midnight or like Wednesday at midnight.
I know. And
what
he also
sad life.
Oh my God. Sorkin can't resist. I think I said this off air, but like in this show, another thing that's baffling about comedians is like, yeah, comedians get into comedy because they want to like, you know, seem cool and popular and have people like them. But that also doesn't work like that. They're
not successful usually.
It doesn't happen where like, okay, I did Weekend Update one night, and now suddenly people are backstage like, "Hey, I want to work on your fuck timing with you."
Hey, you got a ticket to the Bone Zone I could borrow?
Yeah. How about you update? How about you get me on a desk now and give me the weekend? You know, that doesn't work. And then it also doesn't work when you go backstage to your ex-girlfriend's burlesque traveling strip show, Barnum and Bailey's Boobies, or whatever is happening. It doesn't happen.
Bombshell Babies.
Yeah, thank you. It doesn't happen that a parade of like 10 half-naked women all say, "Hey, sexy. Hey, gorgeous. Hey, good looking. Hey, funny guy
hey,
who
big
I
penis.
also want to have sex with." It's just farcical.
The only part of that was good is when he asks for the boot, and she's like, "Okay," and he's like, "You don't want to know why?" And she's like, "I don't fucking care.
I don't care. Your plot's irrelevant to my life."
Session right now?
That's the most realistic side character reaction in this show. It's like, ugh, what do you want? You have an ex issue on your show that you work with? Shut up. Take the boot. Just leave, please. And then he realizes that the boot is stupid, and he goes back to the guy who suggested it, who is, I believe, one of the actors on the show.
Oh, he's one of the big three.
Yeah, so imagine one of the like main actors on your show being like, "Hey, Lorne Michaels, you want to get back with your girlfriend? You need to like go get a stripper's boot and give it to her, and then she'll get super jealous." And that's how I got with my girl. And when he comes back, he's like, "Dude, that was such a stupid idea." And the guy's like, "Yeah, but it worked for me." And he's like, "You're a sad man. Your girlfriend left you because you can't stop working." what? I don't get that. Anyways, it just slips right past him.
It's so
Once again, I wish
stupid.
I wish anybody on the show would acknowledge that this and address the fact that this show is devouring their lives, and that the reason it sucks is because of them, not because of the show or the audience or the network. It's because you guys suck to each other. That's why I messaged you guys saying, like, the show sometimes seems to understand that, but it doesn't do anything about the fact that everyone knows that Matt sucks. They talk about, like, oh, all these writers, like, when Benny and Lenny or whatever their names are, Rack, Shack, and Amendigo come up to him.
Ricky and Ron
are like, Matt, like, the intern took a joke that he heard somewhere because he wanted to get a joke on air and because he's afraid of you. That's the reason this happened, is because you suck and you're mean to your employees. And he's like, wait, really? They just don't care. The show doesn't give a shit. They just say that.
I mean,
I felt bad for Hal for a second. You
can only hope that the next episode starts to, like, deal with that, I guess.
My love, we're on episode 4. Of, like, 20.
Yeah.
I just ain't with you here.
Okay, all right, 6.
I can't follow down the road of, like, my boss has high standards, therefore I plagiarize. Like, no. Like, the part at the end where they're like, no, we're not giving him up. We're gonna protect him. And he's like, okay, well, you earned my respect. No. You fire plagiarists. Plagiarists do not get jobs. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, that's a pretty easy one.
Like, I don't care what your reasoning is. Plagiarists, like, people don't plagiarize once and then they don't do it again. It's a thing that people, like, it indicates that the person is going to do it again. There are examples of this everywhere.
Yeah.
Including the current Democratic frontrunner.
Whoa. Whoa.
Did you not know that?
Okay.
Oh, yeah, you can find lots of evidence that he's plagiarized a whole ton of his speeches. Just nobody cares because, you know, he's defending big business. But let's not get political on here.
Let's get political.
But, like, no, you have to have zero tolerance with plagiarism. I don't give a shit if it's because he was scared. Guess what? Matt's a piece of garbage. He's going to get scared again.
Right. It doesn't make sense. Like,
what it should be is Matt realizing, like, ooh, I suck and I need to work on myself or this is going to keep happening.
Mm-hmm. Like, we got to fire this guy. We don't have a choice, but, like, you could have, like, a moment where he goes to him and he's like, listen, we're going to give you, you know, your benefits and stuff. You're fired, but, like, we'll let you go quietly because this is partially my fault. But obviously you can't work here anymore.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, there is no self-reflection from Matt, right, about this. And really what it is it kind of feels like the only 90 seconds that he let anybody else have any control over are the 90 seconds that were plagiarized. And that, it's like, that just seems to reinforce this idea that if Matt Albee is just the philosopher king of Studio 60, then everything will go according to plan. So
we have diverted from Matt Albee's light. Never have we strayed further.
Yeah, and so what this episode really teaches is not like, hey, you gotta trust your team, but like, hey, you let go of your dictatorial stranglehold on the writing process, and look what happened, something bad.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, like, it would be one thing if we hadn't had the show we'd had up until now, but the opening of this episode, where it's like, it's in the writer's room, and it's like, there are 20 writers in there, and they're like, we've got 90 seconds to fill, and we just can't do it. We're just not good enough. It's like, this sucks. Why are you working so hard to glorify Matt?
We talked about it a bajillion. And yeah, also they're all white guys again. There's a couple of white women in there. So, like, okay, I did pay attention to that, but still. We keep talking about this, but, like, all of this seriousness and the stress about, like, plagiarism, and the joke is not good. The joke is that, like, every child is being diagnosed with something else, like ADHD and ADD and autism and all this stuff. My kid's stupid. What if I diagnosed my kid with stupid? That's the joke that you plagiarized.
I know we're stumped. I know we need, like, a real winner. Check it out. Ableism.
It just throws down a big
and then just money starts raining from the skies. I put sunglasses on.
We're all gonna be rich.
So stupid. Like that joke would get laughed out of the room. That's a horrible joke.
I think that's offensive in 2006.
I think it's offensive, and it's also so hack.
Yeah.
Right?
Even if it's not offensive, even if you're like, okay, it's a different time, like whatever, the line for jokes was different. Like it isn't funny.
But no, check it out. What if instead of bombs we dropped Hot Pockets?
Like, did we do jokes about America being fat back in the day? Maybe this makes me realize that comedy was bad for a while and comedy got evolved a lot.
There was a dark period.
Yeah.
I mean, that's true to a certain extent, right? Like comedy just fundamentally doesn't age well. But
especially like sketch comedy that's like trying to be timely, I guess.
Yeah. But also, this is just bad.
Yes.
Like, Aaron Sorkin's not a comedy writer, so he doesn't get how comedy works.
Mm-hmm.
And so when he tries to write comedy, it sounds like hack comedy because he doesn't do this sort of writing.
Right. Mark Goffman, though, that guy's funny.
No, that guy's he probably only wrote that 90 seconds.
You know? I bet you're
and
right.
they just have to give him the writing credit on the episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the writing room stuff. And like you said, like we need 90 seconds and this team of like the best, like theoretically the best writers in sketch comedy. And they're like, I don't know, I got nothing. All right, I guess we have nothing. I guess we have to tip it over to an intern.
Like
who
you want to
plagiarized
say
the joke.
You want to say that they're bad, like okay, but like they ran the show for years.
Right.
They don't suddenly get the big stupid because now Matt Albie's here.
No, it's not the big stupid. They got some kind of, learning disorder.
It's like it would have been a much better plot if Ricky and Ron were like, "Hey, Danny, Matt won't look at a single thing that we write.
Yeah.
It's shitty." And then Danny's like, "Okay, well, oh my gosh, I'm doing a great Bradley Whitford. Okay."
Okay. Oh, you slipped into that like a glove.
And then he like takes a look at stuff and he's like, "Oh, this is actually pretty funny." And then he like talks to Matt. He's like, "Matt, Ricky and Ron, they're writing great." Okay, I lost it. But I think it would just work way, way better if it's about Matt having to set aside his pride and be like, "Hey, I write sketches good and others do as well. So I need to give some space." But instead, it's like, "Okay, I gave you guys 90 seconds." And they go to the room and they're like, "Okay, we have to write 9. Does anybody have 90 seconds?
Can anybody be funny for like a minute and a half, please? Anyone? No, nothing? Okay.
Like all of these people have been sidelined for weeks and weeks. And these are people who like the gig is that you write sketches from when you wake up until you collapse at 4 a.m.
Yeah,
so
that's your life.
Every person in that room should have like a packet of shit that they've written while Matt Albie has been like, no, not even going to look at it. And instead we get this one guy being like, "Well, I just thought of something actually."
And this episode just stacks on onto poop with this plotline. This is why I was like so fascinated by it, was that it just keeps building on itself. By the way, like I was saying earlier, the Martha Odell stuff goes nowhere. It goes nowhere interesting. She isn't used in any interesting way past the booby joke.
I think we're gonna see more of her. I think
you do.
Me too.
I don't know that. It just seems like they're establishing her, and that's gonna come up later, where it's gonna be like, "Oh, I thought she was our friend, but she wrote an article about how I can't stop doing drugs, or how I'm shitty to my writers, or whatever."
Yeah,
Babylon 5 has ruined my like impression of every like press comes onto the thing episode, because they do it multiple times and they mostly do it really well because they don't hate the press entirely. They understand that there's like value in like being exposed to the public in that way. But I hope she comes back because she really doesn't do anything in this one. But what gets the back end of the episode is they realize that this joke was supposedly plagiarized by a comedian a couple years ago named Lenny Gold. And they pull up, and then this is the part where Martha is like, "I was surfing the web and I found this," and it's this guy he's at some place called the Laugh Factory. Anyways, here's his whole like bit, And he basically verbatim does the whole, like, child diagnosed with stupid thing.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone freaks out. There's a lot of scenes of interns being like, Matt Albee, can you please be a person and talk to your coworkers? And he's like, no, I'm yelling at someone else. Fuck. And they finally go, and while running there, he runs into Harriet kissing the baseball man. And, of course, there's a comical suit of armor that he falls over because fucking of course. And their tentative plan before he gets there is to just give everything up to the comedian, plan an apology, cut the sketch on reruns, and just save face. And, like, they're just like, all right, just cut it. Like, get rid of it and then say sorry in advance. Matt instead suggests that they have him come on to do the joke, which would never happen in real life. Can you even fathom that episode of SNL where they're like, oh, we realized we plagiarized a joke, so we brought the guy on to do the bit? Is that
That's kind of cute. I don't think they would.
It's a cute idea, but yeah, I don't think there's anything realistic about it.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder what, like, safeguards are in place at a place like SNL to stop, or, like, they must have a procedure, you know.
For plagiarism, they have to by now. Yeah,
I think it's Google. You plug these jokes into Google.
Yeah, they have their writers send it to turnitin.com.
They get it back. There's specifically like sketch comedy Turnitin. And sorry, there's so much garbage nonsense here. They think they can do that. Everyone's trying to call Lenny Gold, and we're doing right before all this happens. Where we watch a sketch where Harriet as Juliette Lewis is doing Meet the Press, interviewing Donald Rumsfeld and Hillary Rodham Clinton. Which, 2006, oh baby. Harriet and Simon are about to do the Weekend Update, and they like have a moment of solidarity where she's like, if this was in my hometown, then they would have had a whole speech about honesty and being good to and true to God. And he's like, they would have done the same thing in my town, except they would have fought each other because
he said there would have been a drive-by. He's like, pulled out my 9. Do you get it? I'm black. And I'm like, yikes.
You're making me flash back to this horrible black stereotype stuff that's happening. Like in the previous episode, part of the montage of sketches was him being like, it's pimp my trike.
Yeah.
Oh,
God.
Oh, man. And then when they bring in the audience for the reshoot of the
oh my God.
They're like,
that's just LA, baby. That's all it is. It's all just
like, these are the people we're bringing in. And then you see the monitor is like, look, it's the black guys walking in. And then everyone's like, everyone's got an arrest warrant out on them. Oh, does that do-rag mean that they're Crips?
No, it means they're Bloods. Duh. Red.
I have seen at least some of every Aaron Sorkin show. He is so much more racist in these 2 episodes.
Level 100 racism.
Yeah, it's off the chart. Yeah.
Well, it's the funny thing about the composition of that audience is it's like a couple of like army people.
Yeah, they look like Marines, maybe.
Sure, I think they were just probably lounging around getting a burger, and then there's like a bunch of like presumably sex workers, and then a bunch of gang members, and they have like their feet up, and they're like, cut the camera away from her. There's nothing under her top. Oh no! Stupidest, shittiest shit. And they have them on to be the live audience for the reshooting of this Weekend Update thing, where they apologize to Lenny Gold and say like, hey, we're really sorry. Right, the second after it airs, they're like, wait. Actually, it was another guy 8 years ago. We have to apologize to him instead. Simon, do the whole bit again. Just putting all of the weight of this stressful situation on Simon, by the way, which he acknowledges by the end where he's like, please stop. I just wanted to go home. And he's like, sorry, it was actually this other guy, blah, 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 Barfo, whatever his name is from 8 years ago. We're really sorry. Please don't stop watching our show. Keep our viewer numbers. My job is in trouble. And then the episode's about to end, and they're like, actually, we are basically SNL. We're a like institution, and so that guy wrote for us 8 years ago. He wrote that joke for us. We got the copyright. I've never watched people on a TV show be so happy about having copyright. That's truly bonkers to me.
It is the most toothless ending I can imagine.
100%.
Oh, it sucks so bad.
It's for the sake of the gag, It's a comedy.
I kind of liked it. I thought it was a nice third beat.
I think it would be a nice third beat if then there was still follow through, But there isn't.
I wanted to see them do that part of the show, but they didn't do it.
Well, and it's also still like, oh, and Matt is still like, well, I guess I forgive the writer's room for committing crimes. Like, no,
Yeah, right.
wrong.
Right.
He learns the wrong lesson from this, for sure.
Yeah.
And it's just so funny to me that the real joke is like, we are such a big institution that we had and have had the best writers and they wrote for us before. We're fine. We're rich and great. It's good. Yeah. Let's all go get beers.
Miller. High Life, please.
Yeah, please. Ugh, I've had a Miller High Life before. No, thank you. It's worse.
I'm a low life, so I can't.
Yeah, you can't. You also don't drink.
Okay, come on. No, you're not. Come on.
Hey, I take pride in it. Fuck you.
Okay, good. All right.
Okay, all right. Go off.
Don't take this away from me.
Go off. Yeah.
Can we bury these episodes in the ground and like in the beach, like how Matt punches Danny? And
Gang, here's the thing.
Yeah, what's up?
There's more episodes of this show.
There's so many more.
Heck yeah.
I'm just gonna keep going.
Oh,
and they can only, and like they say at the end of the third episode when they do really well in the rating, someone's like, well, you know how this goes according to like act structure, and they don't say what that means, but what they mean is like it's only going to get worse from here. And then it honestly is like the show is.
Yes.
The show is talking about itself.
It's a slope, and the way slopes go is they don't suddenly curve back up. Next week we're gonna be more miserable.
I'm excited for it. 17 episodes to go. 6. 17.
I will say there was some. Let's just there was some Sorkin dialogue that was fun.
Hit me with it.
Ricky and Ron, I think in the first one maybe, are talking to Danny, and they're like, "Okay, let's cut to the chase." And he's like, "Sure, if it were up to me, I would also cut the chase."
That's a good line.
Yeah, I liked it. It's still fun to watch Bradley Whitford work. You know,
he's very good.
He's very good.
I think the actor playing Ricky is doing a good job.
Yeah,
I think he's funny.
He's very believable.
He has this like air of like he is clearly a professional comedian, but he's also always angry in a way that really works.
Yeah.
He's like, do you just want us to retire? You know, I would love that. Think that's going to happen? Not a big chance. No. It's just like, yeah, okay, I buy it. I totally buy this person being like, I'm miserable here, but you're more miserable, so I will keep this job.
Can't leave. What a reason to keep a job, right?
Yeah.
Also,
I when Danny like holds, who's that? Ron? I don't know which one's which.
I don't know which one's which.
When he like puts one of them against the wall. It's
that's Ron.
What the hell?
Yep. No, how dare one of your people plagiarize? I'm going to commit assault. That will fix this.
Yeah. That's crazy.
It's, I think it's just another like Aaron Sorkin, like not knowing, like thinking back on interactions he's had and being like, how do I make this connect with a normal, I know violence. It's like, right. Aaron, please.
Aaron, put the cuffs on Aaron. You can't do this.
Well, do we want to know what we're watching next time?
I super do.
All right. Next time on SunsetChatz for short, Studio 60 on the SunsetChatz for long. We're watching episodes 5 and 6 of the one and only season of Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip. First is episode 5, The Long Lead Story. While the cast goes through rehearsals with Lauren Graham, parentheses, she's playing herself from such things as Gilmore Girls and Bad Santa.
Oh, that Lauren Graham. Oh, cool.
And musician Sting, parentheses, himself.
Oh, God.
A reporter named Martha Odell tries to get the story on Matt and Harriet.
Oh, sure.
No.
No, I want to see Sting. That's actually the thing I'm excited. It's like when you watch SNL just for the guest. I want to see Sting.
Yeah, right? Wasn't it a bummer when Rob Reiner was like, and now Gwen Stefani? And you're like, oh, okay, cool. And they cut away and they keep doing their stupid sketches.
I knew they weren't going to show it, but I wanted them to show it.
Yeah, it would have been cool to just do a full Gwen Stefani song.
Yeah, why not? It would take 3 minutes out of the... You guys got 3 minutes of good material? Yeah, Gwen Stefani performing? Sure.
Okay, so... Oh, boy. Here's episode 6. This is going to be a trip.
Oh, no.
The Rap Party. A drunken Jordan makes friends with the...
Oh, no.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, it's okay. It gets worse with every sentence. All right. A drunken Jordan makes friends with the cast during an after-show party. First sentence. Second sentence. Danny tries to get Matt's mind off Harriet with the help of 3 sexy women.
No!
Oh, no. And is it gonna keep getting worse?
Third sentence. This is debatable, but I think Sorkin will not handle it well. Third sentence. Simon makes a plea to hire more black writers.
Whoa!
Oh,
What
I'm really...
are you saying? What are they saying? You know,
Like, again, that would, like, in the abstract, you're like, that's fine. And then you're like, this is
In
going to
the
be a
right
scene,
hands, that's the right plot.
but it's going to be Matt explaining why he's obviously wrong, and it's going to kill me.
It's gonna be.
Yeah, he's going to say, listen, good comedy is good comedy.
I don't care about race. It's talent is talent, baby. If they were talented, I would hire
do the
them.
whole colorblind thing. Oh my gosh.
Let's persevere, folks. We got this. We're gonna keep moving on, and we're gonna keep smiling all the way through it.
We sure
If I die before the next episode, I can't promise it wasn't because of fear.
Of
what
fear.
was to
Let's not
come.
talk about it.
Oh, God.
I'm thrilled. And thank you to the two of you. Do y'all want to do a little plug zone?
Before
Let's do it.
I do just want to say, I listened to Chat's Room. I listened to that season.
Yep.
I was a devoted listener. I even sent in a few emails.
Yes.
And at the time, y'all were talking about like how you were like this was good content, but like it was kind of miserable for y'all. And I was like, don't be ridiculous. I feel it now.
You get it? Whenever people are like, you should watch more bad shows, I like watching you suffer, and you get it. You finally.
It's different than when I watch bad shows for my podcast. There's something about y'all's approach where you just have to wallow in it.
Yeah, we gotta sift through it. We gotta sift through the chaff.
I watch 3 episodes of a bad show and then I'm done. Here, I watch
you get
2
to
episodes
leave.
of a bad show, and I'm like, well, I guess I've only got 4 more months of this.
Yeah, we have to approach every episode from the place of like, but this week it could be good, right?
Yeah,
And
just
have
an
our
optimistic
hearts-
approach for sure.
Have our hearts broken each time.
I can do that. And I can also tell you, the listener, that if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can do so by emailing chatspod@gmail.com. That's chatzpod@gmail.com. You can also tweet at us at chatspod, and we have, when we put these episodes up eventually, we'll be able to respond and ask and answer questions on that.
Yeah.
Make sure to rate us on Apple Podcasts, if that's still around. You can tell us if our podcast is good, and also consider supporting our Patreon at patreon.com/chatspod, where we have all sorts of fun and delicious bonus content for you, the listener, in addition to this spicy show.
Yeah. Supporting at $3 a month gets you access to everything that we have over there. Again, we don't know when we're putting this out, so I can't tell you what is up there right now. But in the middle of every month, we hold a poll, and you can vote on what you'd like to see. And then that way you'll know in the coming month, okay, I'm going to get this, this, and this. And then, of course, that also gives you access to all of the episodes that are up there already from... I think at this point we've done, at least 2 years of bonus content? Is that right?
At least approaching 2 years. Oh, yeah, but yeah, whenever
Year
this
and a
releases,
half,
certainly.
Something like that.
Mhm.
So, check it out.
And lastly, we all here at the Chat Studios do Chatsums, where instead of doing our regular plug segment for ourselves, we recommend things to people and we call it Chatsum. So, Magellan, what is your Chatsum for this week?
My chatsum for this week. So, listen, we are in the beginning weeks rather, of self-isolation due to COVID-19 when we're recording this. And I've been having to figure out what to do to pass the time. And let me tell you, I've got actually 2 chatsums right now, okay?
Ooh.
And I experienced them both at approximately the same time in the same evening. The first is take a bag of popcorn, pop it up, and then just drizzle some honey in there, okay? And try it, see what it's like. Yeah, I'm not going to say that it's great, but it is new. And then the other thing is just head over to Hulu and start Shark Tank from episode 1 and just let it play constantly on your TV. And it's actually a really good time.
You actually like it?
Shark Tank is great.
Okay. Six, what about you? What's your chats about this week?
So I guess I'll do 2 because one of mine will be very quick as well. Okay. First off, you may or may not be able to find in your local store Dr. Pepper and a cream soda, which is a new flavor of Dr. Pepper, which is basically just tastes like cream soda, but the aftertaste is Dr. Pepper.
Oh, yummy.
It's good. I like it.
It's called and cream soda?
Dr. Pepper and cream soda. It's just the Dr. Pepper logo, and then the bottom half of it says and cream soda, and then it turns like beigey white, like cream. And then the other one is sure, I do it everywhere else. You should probably watch Kamen Rider 01. It's a tokusatsu show, which if you were aware of Power Rangers, were you aware that all the action scenes from Power Rangers were just ripped off from Japanese shows and then they filmed stuff in between? This is the kind of stuff they ripped off from. So imagine if that was, I'm not going to say better because I don't want to insult Power Ranger fans, but imagine if it was more considered.
Oh, and actually like kind of more like slightly more adult also.
Mm-hmm. And better, but
ooh. Thank you.
What about you, Alan?
Yeah, lastly, my chatsums is for this week. Just I have been falling behind on rap music and like albums in general, listening to music this year beyond just the usual K-pop stuff I listen to because I'm that person. And this last week, I've been catching up on all the rap albums that I had forgotten about that came out this year. So just a couple shout outs. Riz Ahmed, actor, rapper, a cool dude in general, put out an album recently called The Long Goodbye, which I'm not going to give a wholehearted like 10 out of 10 recommendation because it's super corny. Like it is centered around him talking about his like breakup with a girl, and the girl is the country of England. But he commits to that and like has skits about that, and then like he's very very into it, and the beats on that album are really good. I discovered a new artist also this week called YBN Corday, who I think the young folks are pretty into. He has an album called The Lost Boy that's just a lot of fun. And I listened to that Weeknd album. I will say that one, it's fine. I have a really complicated relationship with The Weeknd because I used to be obsessed with him, and now I'm exhausted every time he puts out an album. But his album After Hours is fine. And then finally, Purple Moonlight Pages by the artist currently known as R.A.P. Ferreira, formerly known as Milo. I think he changed his name for obvious reasons. Purple Moonlight Pages is super duper chill rap, good beats, good lyrics, very unique talent. So just get into some rap music. This is a good time to be into that. And that, dear listener, is going to do it for this episode of Studio 60 on the SunsetChatz. We didn't come up with an outro last time.
We didn't?
No, the whole thing was that we were going to spend the ending trying to come up with an outro. Because you're a trash monster and you punish me like this.
Okay. Well, yeah, we can just keep doing that. I'm trying
Restart
to think.
The clock.
Restart the clock.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
I stole it from last time.
We're starting the clock is that you're saying your starting clock is the outro.
Yeah, restart the clock.
Restart the clock. It sounds like a Kamen Rider thing. Restart the clock. Shot clock.
Wait, let me hit my Shark Tank button here real quick. Shark Tank. Whoa, that sounds like Shark Tank. Whoa. Yes.
It has so many long clips. Jesus Christ.
Alan, will you tack on my original lead into this half at the end here so people can hear it?
Do you want me to do the finisher?
Yeah, do the finisher. Oh, I like that. I'm a fan of that.
Nope, it always goes longer than you think it's... Okay, beautiful.
It really does.
Goodbye, everyone.
Night. Restart the clock. Welcome back to Studio 60 on the SunsetChatz. I'm your host.
Ronan Mars from 99% Invisible. You're here.
I wish you could see what I did when I said the title. I grabbed. Everybody, try this at home.
Okay, interrupt.
Take your right leg and cross it over your left leg so that it's a 90-degree angle.
Okay. So yeah. Okay.
So like a lap. You've created a sort of lap for yourself.
Sure.
Okay. Now drape your right arm across your right leg.
Okay.
So that you're sort of turning your upper body a bit.
Yeah.
Okay, now clasp your right wrist with your left hand.
Okay.
Got it.
Okay, and now just slowly lean forward and put more weight on your right elbow.
Ow. Ow.
As you say, Studio 60 on the Sunset Chats.
It's just getting into more and more pain.
That's what I did.
You pretzeled yourself.
I'm trying. This isn't.
Oh, shit. Oh my god, sorry, there's a big cockroach right here. Holy
Eat it.
crap.
Wait, eat it.
Wow.
Did you get one to Blathers already?
Give it to get.
Oh, that's a big
say it.
motherfucker.
Fuck, you got it out
Wait,
fast.
hold on, I gotta take care of this.
Go do it.
I think he caught it. Did you hear that?
Think you got it. Oh, he got bit. Shit. Damn. Did that work out?
Okay, you got away. I'm gonna have to kill him as soon as I see him. Damn. Okay, well, anyway, you can make that work somehow. Welcome back. Here, I'll just start over.
No, Magellan, you don't have to start over because the episode is all done now. Thank you, everybody, for listening to Studio 60 on the Sunset Chats, Episode 2. We hope you liked that cold intro as well as the whole episode. We haven't done a cold outro, rather. We haven't done a cold outro in quite a while, and I thought this one was funny enough to keep in. Did you guys catch that hilarious and timely Animal Crossing New Horizons reference? Do you remember March 2020 when we were all... back when we were all cooped up inside playing Animal Crossing? That's hilarious for a lot of reasons. One, I've just been getting back into Animal Crossing this year because a friend of mine just got a Switch, and that game is still good. But it definitely came out at the right time and place for us to all get very obsessed with it back in last March. In terms of other announcements, I'm going to be reiterating some stuff you probably heard last week on our Patreon, patreon.com/chatspod. We still have all of our January content out and looking great. By the time this episode comes out, you will have the commentary chats episode for Tron Legacy, which we watched with some listeners on our chats Discord. Both of those things are things you can find over at patreon.com/chatspod. The link to the Discord is there. On our Discord, we have fun conversations with friends. We're talking about the old podcasts. We're talking about new ones. And it's a great time, to be honest with you. And on the Patreon, there's also those bedtime readings that we did on the 16th. We are having people help us work out the kinks of the Chats website, which we'll be launching for the public very soon. Pilot Chats 31, Vanity Fair and the Good Lord Bird was a great episode. And spoiler alert, at least one of those shows is going to get covered on Chats in the future. We also have our community subreddit. I forget if I mentioned that in the plug zone, but it's reddit.com/r/chatspod. And Nick and Pat, the brothers at Infinite War, fans of the podcast, regular contributors, are doing a re-listen through of Chats on their 2 episodes into Freaks Chats there. And I'm actually, Alan, I'm leaving some comments there every week. I'm trying to, because Freaks Chats is really fun, and it's an interesting kind of touch point for our podcast. We also have our Medium page, which Magellan incorrectly plugged last week. It is medium.com/@chatspod. He forgot the @ because that doesn't... We didn't put the @ there. It's just how Medium does their websites. But regardless, that's basically what I got. But before I forget, I would also like to make a brief comment about the passing of Mira Furlan, who played Delenn on Babylon 5, which we watched back on Chatsalon 5. On January 20th, 2021, Mira passed away, unfortunately, at the age of 65. Tragically, and we discussed this many times in watching Babylon 5, but watching a show full of adults, while it is great and all the acting is great, means that people get old and people pass away from various things. As I understand it, she passed from complications due to West Nile virus, which is really unfortunate. But we loved her. I think Delenn is truly one of the great TV characters, especially in science fiction and otherwise. And she will be missed dearly. Her contributions to the television industry in general, and her philanthropy work, her and her husband. But I just wanted to say some brief words about Mira Furlan's passing because, like, again, just so tragic. And it's always a bummer watching characters you love in a show die in real life. But, so it goes. Unfortunately, we continue to persist, folks. But thank you, as always, for listening, and take care.